Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga, bringing you up to speed with developments in politics and in the polity at midday. Amidst the political tension in Rivers State, explosion rocks the Trans-Niger pipeline in Bodo, Bukana local government area of Rivers State, resulting in an inferno. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, hints on reintroduction of statutory delegates in parties' primaries after it was excluded in the last amended Electoral Act. And we check in on the Ministry of Regional Development, says the efforts of the multiple interventionist agencies. The minister joins us right here on the program in just a moment. Thanks again for staying with us and joining us on the program. It's your all-access pass to what happens in politics and in the polity at midday. Let's begin with what's playing out at the National Assembly, where we're seeing strong indication that the 2022 Electoral Act will be amended to reinstate statutory delegates in the political party primaries ahead of the 2027 general elections. That hint is coming from the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, while addressing the leadership of the NBA, where he urged the association to rid the profession, the legal profession, of unqualified practitioners. Senator Akpabio described the omission of statutory delegates from party primaries in the 2022 Electoral Act as a costly mistake that must be corrected before the next round of elections. He explains how the exclusion reduced the number of participants in the selection of candidates, and for him, it makes democracy less participatory. Let's now head to Rivers State, where earlier today we got a report of an explosion that rocked the Trans-Niger pipeline at Bodo in Gokana local government area of the state, resulting in an inferno with smoke billowing in the sky. In a moment, we're going to show you the picture. Says it. A source confirmed the incident to our correspondent, although the exact cause of that explosion remains unknown at this time. Authorities have yet to determine whether the incident resulted from any form of human interference, especially amid the recent threat by some groups to attack oil installation in response to some of the happenings in the political scene in Rivers State, with effect that has to do with allocation of the state in the ongoing impasse as far as Rivers politics is concerned. The explosion reportedly occurred on a Monday, that's last night, along the critical export pipeline that transports crude oil to the Bonny terminal. All right, so that's the latest we're getting from Rivers State. On one hand, there's a political tension, and this has now happened. We don't know whether they are connected or they're isolated cases. When we get the full detail, we'll let you know. I did tell you. Also, we're going to be joined by the Minister of Regional Development, who is going to break it down for us, some of the efforts of the ministry as far as regional development is concerned. We've been joined in the program by Engineer Abubakar Momo, was a former federal lawmaker and now the Minister of Regional Development. Engineer, thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
I know this is a very sacred period for you, this period, but we had to pull you out. It's all part of national assignment, so we must thank you for coming out to have this conversation. But let's begin with what's playing out with the explosion. You know, you are managing the regions, literally, with that interventionist agency all over the parts of the country. And now one of those regions is being affected by this explosion. Maybe your quick reaction to what we're seeing playing out in Bodo, because that's where the NDDC, for instance, operates. Your quick reaction to that explosion we heard this morning, as far as we don't know what is the cause, but maybe your quick take on it.
Well, thank you very much. I think it was only this morning, too, that I got the information about that very explosion. Up to the moment, we've not been able to get clear details as to what caused that very explosion, but investigations are going on. Of course, but there's one area that myself and the Minister of Environment visited about 2 or 3 weeks back to inspect the mangrove plants that have been planted by HAPREP. We were there for a very long time recently. So if it's as a result of the crisis that is currently rocking the River State, we know. If it is not, we get to know. But if it's as a result of the crisis, I will quickly appeal to the various warring factions to share their sword, because we need peace. Of course, before now, there have been relative peace in that very region. We have not heard of things like this for a very long time. For instance, when we took over, before we took over, there used to be complaints here and there used to be one form of problem. But we'll be trying to do our best, managing the situation from our end, from the end of the National Security Advisor and a host of others. We're also charged with the responsibility of maintaining peace in the region. So I think in a very short time, the clear picture will be known as to what caused the problem. But generally, like I said, I want to appeal to both the current state governor and the Minister of Cities, at least father and son, to come together so that all this kind of impasse will be things of the past. There's nothing that has never happened before. So I guess in a very short time, they will be on the same page and continue to work together.
All right, Minister, I do not want to drag into that politics, but at some point, if we have the time, I'll drag you in. But now let's talk about your ministry, which is the reason I invited you. So maybe begin with explaining to us how this transition has been for you. You started off as the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs. Now you're like some form of a semi-president. Allow me to use that word, because you're now managing regions in that sense. You have regions under your purview, with you at the center of all of it. So walk us through some of the transition experience for you and what the efforts have been. Have they been worth the while with all this proliferation of regional interventionist agencies?
First, let me correct one impression. We only have one president, and that's the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So I know definitely, but I know definitely you are joking. First, I have to put things straight away. Well, for me, as the Minister of Regional Development, it has been one of good experience coming from the Ministry of Niger Delta Development Commission. You know, before now, we only have NDDC as the sole agency to supervise. But with the recent creation of 2 additional agencies, that is the Northwest Development Commission and the Southeast Development Commission, and also bringing on board the Northeast Development Commission, other supervision, of course, you know, definitely it is a lot of responsibility. But one good thing is that before now, I was the only minister in the Ministry of Niger Delta, but today I have a Minister of State who is also operating with me. So where I cannot be himself will be there. So I think the experience has been quite good. But the only thing I have to say is that for now, we can report more of the activities of NDDC in terms of delivery and that of Northeast Development Commission. For the other 2 commissions that have just been inaugurated, that is the Northwest Development Commission and the Southeast Development Commission, they are in the process of taking off. They have been inaugurated, at least they are going about getting offices both at the headquarters and the zonal level. They also pay visits to acclimatize themselves to the environment. They were with us on Friday to brief us, and they have paid visit to nearly all the governors of the various regions. I think that's very important for them to understand where the environment they are going to operate with. I think in a very short time, by the time all of those things are done, and then the budget of the 2 commissions are passed, they will go into serious action. But in terms of the other existing commissions like NDDC and Northeast, they'll be doing their very best. Of course, you have noticed that in the recent time, we'll be going around to commission some of the projects that NDDC initiated for the past 1 year. So what we are doing is essentially what the NDDC has been able to achieve in the past 1 year. By this time last year, we also involved commissioning the ones that they did in the previous year. So I think it has been that of a very good experience. My counterpart, the Minister of State, was also in the Northeast Development Commission recently. And I know too well that they are also doing their best in order to see that some of these interventions get to the people and get to the grassroots.
There are people who have felt that the issue of creating too many interventionist agency is for them, it doesn't make sense. This is their reason. They feel like the NDDC had a clear reason why it was set up, but this is looking like more of political tokenism and convenience, just to have this proliferation of interventionist agency all over the place without really a clear-cut mandate as to what this should be at the end of the day. More like, okay, if the South-South has or the NDDC has, why don't we create and just measure up and let everybody have maybe a piece of the pie? For those who have that kind of position, what will be your response?
Well, for me, I think they should give a chance to the Development Commission to operate. I think when they start operation fully and they are well funded, it will be for the betterment of the people of Nigeria, because development will get to the grassroots, and areas that have been neglected before now will get the impact of development. Beyond, when you talk of Development Commission, for us, we are looking at a situation where we come up with mega projects across the various regions. Like I told the commissions recently inaugurated, I said, what stop these commissions to come on board with projects that even the state and local government have not been thinking about. So not Southeast Development Commission. Is there anything stopping them to say, okay, we want to embark on a mega hospital at the regional level? The same thing for Northwest, and also backing on intercity rail lines and the rest of it. I think if well funded, it will help to translate development to the grassroots. For those who, of course, believe the proliferation of the regional development commissions are pure political maybe consideration, for me, I don't think it is so, because the president who set up this commission is one person who, of course, is very much detailed, and he knows what is good for the country. So I think for the interim, they should give the commission a chance to really perform and see whether there's difference between what it used to be and now. Okay, you can also see that of recent, the NDDC, judging from what it used to be in the past, is no more the same as the NDDC of today, because of the man at the ends of affairs. That's the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has a clear cut of what he wants. So if all these regions can also, all these development regions can also replicate what is happening in NDDC and Northeast Development Commission, I think it will be better for everybody. For instance, recently at the FEC level, we also approved almost 10,000 e-buses and tricycle for Northeast region, and that will help tremendously to translate the transport system in that area. And apart from other road infrastructure that, of course, they are brought forward for approval in the FEC. And before now, they have also done quite a long number of road projects in those areas that were devastated by Boko Haram. So I think it is a concept that should be given a chance to commence the operation and see how it help to translate development.
Honorable Minister, one of the things I would like to find out from you, because if you go to places like China and their provinces, you see that they are very strategic, which is what if the interventionist agency, which is what we expect it to be, not just complementing the efforts of the state government or the local government or even the federal government, although they take a lot of power from the federal government. So if you were to look at, I know you mentioned one in passing, because we've had incidents where the government of states are always having issues. For instance, the NDDC that has been there for over 20 years, about 25 years, they've always had issue with the state government as to what kind of projects to execute and all of that. But we've seen less of that in recent time, thankfully. What do you think, in terms of, let's say, the Northeast Development Commission, or now the Northwest Development Commission, and now the Southeast Development Commission, what are the strategic intervention that the ministry is putting forward that is clearly different from what the state and the federal government is doing at the end of the day?
For instance, I just mentioned to you just now that for me and for us in the ministry, we are looking at those areas which, of course, have not been intervened by this level of government when you are talking in terms of state and local government level. And I mentioned one to you just now. If you come to Abuja today, it's only a national hospital. That is, you can say, it's only a center of excellence in terms of medical facility and the rest of them. If this commission, like Southeast Development Commission, come up today and say, in the Southeast, let us have a project of such nature that in terms of health, we are talking of the entire Southeast region. We have one center of excellence. The same thing Northwest and all other regions. Is it not better for the country? Then we identify other areas. For instance, too, the Southeast Development Commission, by the nature of its geography, will stop the Southeast Development Commission to connect Onitsha with Bonyi to Enugu and other state headquarters with light rail in order to assist in transport system. So I think these are some of the areas. And of course, these are also dependent on the availability of funds. And once the funding is there, we look critically at these areas, not necessarily talking of token projects like just water and so. Those, of course, can also come on board. But we have to talk of mega projects.
So Minister,
measure of,
my apologies, Minister. So
Canada,
just a moment.
Yeah.
Is this, my question actually is this a clear-cut mandate you're giving to the people that will man these interventionist agencies, or this is what you're thinking they should be thinking about? There are two different things here.
It's a clear-cut mandate. When they were inaugurated, this statement is written black and white when they were inaugurated, and I made it clear to them that they should look at those projects of which hitherto had not been considered by other state governments. We should not just be looking at projects that states and local government are currently doing. So that is what, of course, we told them when they were inaugurated.
Okay, let's talk about the money. I know that you are laid complaint about inadequate funding, which I'd like you to speak to. I don't know whether your budget has been increased. I know I think it was in the region of less than maybe 30 billion or so. But I see that when you calculate all the interventionist agencies, it's over 2 trillion naira. I think the biggest share goes to the NDDC, which is almost exposed to 1 trillion naira, about 776 billion naira. What is the NDDC, what is the agency going to do or putting in place in terms of mechanism to check corruption? That corruption has bedeviled the NDDC for many, many years. And sometimes we get to know when the person in charge leaves, not when the person is there. So, because the NDDC, for instance, was seen as a cesspool of corruption, what is being done to check it? Because the last time I had a conversation with you, I talked about that report. That during the era of the Niger Delta minister, I think Godswill Akpabio, who is now the Senate president, I remember we had a conversation with you. I wanted to find out what has happened to that report, all that drama that played out. As at then, I think you said you were still yet to get some of the details. Maybe you answer to that. Minister, so my question is, what are you doing to check the level of corruption that can be endemic in this kind of financial exposure?
Well, I think when I was making my statement, I made it clear to you that NDDC today is not NDDC yesterday. Before now, I'm not sure that you have had opportunity to witness NDDC starting and completing a single project. But I can say for the past 1.5 years that this current board is in place, NDDC is doing its best to get projects started and commissioned. And of course, you have noticed that even yourself, because in most of the commissioning exercise, your station is always there to witness what is being done live, not ESA. So in terms of corruption in NDDC, I think that one has gone down tremendously because we have monitors. When I say monitors, the president is there. He has people who are also looking at what is happening in NDDC. So nothing is as usual before because NDDC has been given a clear-cut mandate to perform. And when we took over, the president made it clear that there are quite a number of projects abandoned here and there. and charge NDDC to get such projects completed and also to commence new ones. That is essentially what NDDC has been doing for the past 1.5 years. So when you talk in terms of corruption, it's relative, because those people who are shouting corruption and the rest of them, they could be right because of what was happening yesterday. But you have to relate it to what is happening today, whether it has not reduced. You cannot say we stop at corruption 100%, but it has drastically reduced compared to what it was in the past.
I'm happy the confidence you repose in the current leadership of the NDDC, but now you know you're supervising a lot more than that. My question again, in addition to that, was the effect that what has happened to that report under Godswill Akpabio and all of the MDs that sat that time? What has happened to it? Because the last time you said you were still checking in, but maybe you didn't give me an answer to that, because I have a couple of questions for you, sir.
Well, that report, you know, I told you when we took over, we didn't see the report. And I have also written to the office of the Attorney General, because that report was submitted, and action was concluded on it 1 year, or rather 1.5 years before we took over. So it's not a report that was submitted to me as the city minister that very time. So what I did when we took over was to write to the office of the Attorney General, because I guess such report, when government takes decision on it, it will fall back to the office of the Attorney General. I've written in that respect to get the details. But what I was told is that some of the recommendations in that report have been gradually implemented by the past administration. That is to say that a board being constituted, and that was why the board, which is being headed by Sam Ogboku, was constituted in 2022. So I think those are some of the fallouts, and for the past 4 years, NDDC hadn't gotten a budget at that period. So starting from last year, they started to get a budget. So in totality, like I said to you, I didn't inherit that report from the ministry, because it is assumed that that report had been submitted, action had been concluded long before we took over. But I didn't just stop at that. Because of the inquisition by the public, I have also written to the office of Attorney General if they can avail us a copy, because it is only when I have a copy of a report, I will now say this is where to go. But so long as the report is not with me and it was not handed over to me, all I begin to find is to look for a way to get the report and also study it.
All right, Minister, before we begin to wind down, I know that you had gone to defend your budgets, and then the raised issue of the performance of the 2024 budget, and you had raised concern that the money that has been released to you to be able to do the things you want to do is insufficient as far as the ministry is concerned. But the lawmakers, I think Honorable Martin Wogo had raised the concern that about 70% of the projects that you, under the Niger Delta Ministry, was towards, is it NDDC now, Niger Delta Ministry, was focused or concentrated in Edo State. I want you to speak to that. Is that true? Because you had to dissolve into an executive session to answer those questions. What was the outcome of that?
As I can say, it is not true. Second, even if it's true, the question I may ask, is Edo State part of Niger Delta Development Commission? The answer is yes. When I took over, we inherited a number of projects, and the little money in the ministry have been deployed to pay for those projects inherited, and those projects were in other parts of Niger Delta region. So if coming on board as a minister, as I see 1 or 2 projects, I say, okay, let me put it in the ministry and it's from Edo, does that now make it look as if the project is, all the money in the ministry is in Edo? That is not correct, because the people who are raising those issues, they don't even have complete knowledge of what is happening in the system. Or in 2023, take a look at the budget and look at the money that was appropriated in the ministry and ask yourself, that money appropriated, where was the money spent? So I think for me, it is those people who just want to create diversion and also get to make people.
So Honorable Minister, so what percentage?
It's not entirely true.
My apologies. What percentage of the project goes to Edo State? I understand you're making a case. You're from Edo State. It's only natural that at least your people get something. But they are saying 70% is too much. So if 70% is not correct, what exactly is correct?
Before now, I did compute the percentage of what goes to, because there are quite a number of programs and projects. So the only aspect they are looking at perhaps is the aspect of road construction. So they are not looking at other areas. So I didn't even compute the percentages. And let me also tell you, the problem we find ourselves in this country is why we have a lot of challenges. It's a situation where projects are being tokenized. If I have 10 million naira, I would prefer to commit that 10 million on a project that I can start and I complete. It's not a question of having 10 million. You say, oh, because you have 9 states, put this 10 million, put 1 million here, put 1 million here, put 1 million. At the end of the day, it makes nonsense. You were the one telling me what can the new development commission do different from what has been happening. So if you begin to tokenize projects, it becomes a problem. And that we also see in terms of even road development in Nigeria. So that maybe the ministry will make a proposal, so okay, put 10, 50 billion to complete this project. But by the time appropriation comes out, that 10, 50 billion will now be reduced to maybe 1 billion. At the rest of the day, we will not be able to do the project. So I think it is high time we started to look at developments from the angle where, of course, success can be achieved. If I'm able to do 1 or 2 things, that is over. Nobody will come and do it again. But instead of me do 1 or 2 things, you said that one thing you're supposed to do, please put it in 10 places, because we have 10 states, then it becomes a problem. At the end of the day, one may end up, at the end of 4 years, you will not be able to do one thing.
All right, Honorable Minister, at the end of the day, I can tell you for free that if you, I understand not tokenizing the project, but if you're not tokenizing the project, you send that project to Edo State, you will have problems. That's a guarantee I can give to you. But in closing, how much are you exposed to as ministry now? Because I know you wanted to raise that amount beyond the amount. How much are you exposed to?
Are you talking in terms of allocation?
Your budget, yes, your budgetary allocation that was passed by the National Assembly.
My budgetary allocation is okay. My budgetary allocation is 24 billion as a ministry. Last year it was the same thing. It was 21 billion. And this year, being Ministry of Regional Development is just 24. So what we have this year is more or less a Niger Delta budget. We have not yet got a budget of Ministry of Regional Development, so as a ministry. So we are still operating as if we are under the Ministry of Niger Delta. So that is all we have. Even in 2023, the budget was just 11.7 billion. So many people don't even know that the ministry as itself is not one of those that is heavily funded. It's not heavily funded. Okay. All right. So what we have as budget in the Ministry of Niger Delta or Regional Development is just like overhead in some other ministries. All right. Honorable Minister, so in final, 30 seconds. So all the ministries report to you or to the Ministry of Regional Development. The reason I ask because the Niger Northeast Development Commission, I still see it in the budget of the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry. So let's be clear. Is every interventionist agency reporting to your ministry? 10 seconds. Yes, all the interventionist agencies, they report to our ministry. That is NDDC, Northeast Development Commission, the Northwest and Southeast that have just been inaugurated. All right. They are under the supervision of our ministry. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for coming to the program. The Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Mr. Engineer Abubakar Momo. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program, and we hope to have you again on the program. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. All right, that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.